his wife, Barbara, she's just going to be, I mean, he just babied her. I mean, he catered to them. They were inseparable. You know, they never went anywhere where both of them weren't together. And I don't know, it made me feel funny. But Sunday afternoon, Vicky and I went over to the wake in New Iberia. Huge crowd. Got to talk to Miss Barbara, and well, you know, you don't know what to say except, you know, if I can ever help in any kind of way. She says, I know it, we can call on you. I said, you know, I remembered a little something that you and Gary did when the night I moved the little bit of clothing and things, the first night when I moved over to the Point. Mm-hmm. And I had just had hip surgery, so I couldn't go upstairs, so I'd set that in that little bitty room downstairs, a little iron bed there. And she and Gary came over with a gift. And I told her that, and she said, you remember that? Well, I said, you know, that meant so much to me. I was being accepted by the leader of the group. And that meant a lot to me. And did get to talk to his son, Nicky, who works side by side with his daddy. So at least we are going to be well cared for, those of us that have properties and all the entrance and all that. It's going to be
a man who grew up in it.
Grew up in it. And helped develop all of it. And then he has a daughter, Tony, and her husband, Gary Jeremy. He's the floor man, Jeremy Floors. And then he has
welcome back, Guest Alone.
He has another daughter, Brenda, and her husband is Billy Guidry. And I went over to express my sympathies to Brenda, and she says, oh, Mr. Bobby, I know who you are. I said, really? I said, we may have met one time, I'm not really sure. Oh, no, but I see you every week. She said, I watch you on the program. So to all of the Begno family, we lost a real gentleman and a hardworking individual who cared a lot about his family. He cared a lot about all of us and our investments we made there. And more importantly than all of that, well, not the family, but was the devotion he gave to the little mission church there on the Point. He literally kept
which
it.
had been wiped out more than once with hurricanes.
More than once. And the last hurricane that came by and did a lot of damage. He worked in there by himself, taking all of the pews and everything, changing the bad parts on them, and putting it all back. I told you that story. In fact, we
talked about it on the show.
On the show
here. It was hard to believe that when you saw the guy working on the pews, like, who is that God? And you realize who it was. Like, that man is going to give that much time.
And he just was devoted to, we're going to miss Gary, all of us, and I know the family certainly will.
How about this? I went this week to the LSU game in Baton Rouge. I happen to have 2 extra tickets, you know, and I always kind of keep my eye open for a daddy with some kids if I can. And when I was at the game, I went with my little boy, my baby, who's an 8th grader now, little Andrew, that's at OC in the 8th grade. We got there and I saw a guy that was with his wife with 5 kids. Now, I don't know if this all his 5 kids. Mr. Paul Brown, the attorney from Eunice.
Yep.
And I guess he's probably about my age, pretty close to my age, but 5 little boys, and I guess maybe it was some friends, maybe it wasn't all his, but the oldest one might have been about 9 or 10. I mean, they were not big kids at all. And there was somebody, you know, there always those guys out there selling tickets, trying to get some extra money. And I wanted to cut in. I'm like, well, am I going to cut in? I saw him say, well, I think I'm going to just go a little further. So when he walked away, I caught him. I said, just go to the ticket box. They're not expensive to buy. You're not going to pay no surcharge. And I said, you got 2 less tickets to buy. Here's 2 for you to have. Well, he pulled the wallet out. He says, let me pay you for them. He says, well, you know. I said, well, where you from? Oh, came all the way from Eunice. Oh, I said, man, that's a long ways. I said, ooh, I'm glad I'm local. I said, I only came from Opelousas, so I'm all right. He started laughing. He says, Bobby Dupre show, huh? Right away. So he knew, and it was very nice to see him and his family. It was a beautiful thing. Bring your kids. If you got a chance to bring the kids out to go see a good sporting event, LSU basketball right now. They played Southern, won against Southern this week, but it's all kind of great games. They play McNeese, they play, you know, Auburn, Alabama, all the SEC schedule. Good fun time. You can go there and you can get tickets probably as cheap as $10, sometimes $5 for your kids. So go by. Good event.
They're trying to get the crowd there.
Yeah, exactly.
Another person who died, and kind of, I guess, trying to get the message out because he was living in Denham Springs, and the article of his death, the notice, was in the Morning Advocate, and of course, in our area here,
Not everybody gets
not
the Advocate.
everybody gets the Advocate, but I'm speaking of Calvin Clary. Calvin was a high school boxer. That's when we all kind of met him, although he lived around the corner from where we lived. We lived just a half a block from each other. And he was 78 years old and quite an accomplished boxer. Fought some memorable high school bouts.
I saw his plaque last night in the Assembly Center. You know, in the basketball arena, they've got the Hall of Fame for LSU, and of course, he's in the Hall of Fame for boxing.
He sure is.
Yeah, so his plaque's in there.
And after he graduated from Opelousas High, he went on to LSU and won a national boxing title. And as you mentioned, he also is in the Hall of Fame, LSU Sports Hall of Fame. So
one of the few boxers, you know.
And of course, his twin sisters, Melda and Melba. Melda Tritico, she married a person from up around that same area, around Denham Springs, Baton Rouge. And then Melba Chris, Ashley's wife. Melba, of course, Ashley
passed
he
away.
died. He just
about a year and a half, 2 years?
Yep, time flies. And then, of course, he had two brothers, Jimmy Clary and Frank Clary. And Jimmy lives in Baton Rouge, and he was married to Sally Boanny. She's deceased, and I did get to meet their young daughter, Jimmy and
they were all raised right there on King Street in that little neighborhood?
Directly in the front of the original trade school building on Laurent Street. That's where they were raised. And of course, Melba and Melda graduated from high school with me. So real close. On Monday night, went over to Denham Springs and visited with the family and friends. And the boxing, they could have, if they'd have rang a bell, somebody would have got hit because there was a bunch of us. I think we're all a little too old to get back in the ring, but we still like to feel we could, and there's nothing wrong with that. So to the Clary family, those of you who are learning it now, you may want to call and offer your condolences to the family.
And if you get time, go see that little, if you're in the Assembly Center for anything at LSU, go look at the little, all the plaques up there. Al Tumanella is there as well.
Joe Tumanella.
I'm saying Al.
That's the son.
Right. I went to school with Joey and Al, but that's right, Joe Tumanella. He's on there as well.
He coached at OC for years.
That's right. So I mean, it's a neat thing to go see all those things. And I bring my kids to let them see those names and say, he's from Opelousas, he's from back home.
I'm going to mention one more death here, and before
we got room. Before I hit some sponsors.
Yeah, that's correct. And I'm speaking of Byron Miller. I went over to visit with the family on Monday morning. Two wakes at the same day, one in the morning and one at night. Well, Byron was age 71, a longtime friend, knew him. You know, we grew up, Opelousas was a little small town, and we rode our bikes here and there and just, grew up together. He's been sick now for some time. In fact, some time back, we asked for prayers for Byron. I'm correct when I say that, right?
And I got a text, it was Christmas Day that he passed away. I got a text on Christmas Day that he had passed.
He worked for years for Artigo Oil Company. That was the last job that he held for maybe 25, 30 years. His wife that he leaves behind is Miss Lola Latchley Miller. And I met his son, Todd, and Tricia Carey and her husband, Lonnie. I know both of them. And then Taryn Segura and her husband, Barrett, of Erath, Louisiana, and her sister, Ann Hiller and Scooter Hiller.
Correct.
So well-known family. Like I said, I went there with the intention of staying 15, 20 minutes, offering my condolences to the family. And 2 hours later,
oddly enough, you knew everybody there.
I knew everybody there. Really visit. In fact, I had not seen Versi Richard, and she looked just like the last time I saw her. I said, when are you going to start getting old like all of us? She says, well, I'm getting old. I said, it doesn't show on you, young lady. So anyhow, saw a lot of friends. Gerald Dolman, of course, who was a good high school boxer, just a year or two, probably Byron's age. They probably graduated from Opelousas High together. Sure. And so many others, but it really was nice Today, when you go to the funeral home, it's not like when I remember years past, 40, 45, 50 years ago. I don't know, crying and they'd scream and upset and all. Today, you go, you watch a movie on their life, and you can laugh at the different stages from the time they have a little baby picture to all the way to the time a month before they died, there's a picture. Really, it's a visitation and a renewal of the life of the deceased and the family.
Yep.
Did I say that all right?
I think it was perfect.
To the Miller family, our deepest of sympathies.
Wound Treatment Center, if you need any type of work done, if you've got some cuts, maybe you've had surgery, maybe you've got varicose veins, maybe you've got diabetes type issues where your legs aren't healing well, your feet aren't healing well. Wound Treatment Center, they can help you out. Dr. Carrie Thibodeau and all the staff, and there are probably a dozen doctors who are involved right here at Opposite General Hospital. They can help you, get you back on the track. Our good friend Roscoe Chenier, a great
perfect
musician,
example.
You know, with diabetes issues and all, they've kept Roscoe where even with the bad problems he's had with diabetes, still an active life, still out, plays all our little parties that we have, politics and all the birthday parties. So go by Wound Treatment Center.
Why don't you show Dr. Fusilier's new clinic?
Let's show
We
that.
have just enough time.
The Bellevue Animal Clinic. Show the photos, Matt, if you're awake. Now, this is the new facility that just opened up over on Highway, hey, Matt, you awake?
Hey.
182. And they got a brand new sign, and I saw that, you know, the 182nd, 182nd? Is that right? National Guard just coming through. No, I'm saying 182, 182nd. Let me think a second. What is the group called? What number is it?
256.
256. 182 is the road, 256 is the group. There we go. He's got the sign out for God Bless Our Troops on this brand new sign of the new
Now,
Bellevue
what is his
Animal
logo
Clinic.
before we forget?
Let's do the dog and a cat shaking hands is what I see.
No. His logo.
Oh, what he says that he's got high-tech, cutting-edge facilities and support for your animals, but he's got old-timey prices. He hasn't changed his prices whatsoever at this new facility, the new Bellevue Animal Clinic.
He mentioned that about 3 times.
Correct. He wants people to know. Well, people get intimidated.
Yeah.
See that new building, they get intimidated. But I want to show you this. This is the brand new building, huge building, nice, state-of-the-art. And I'm going to kick all the way through. You can see the waiting area where you got a big screen TV that talks about all the things you can do for your animals. The ladies there at the front counter can help you. And there's Doc Fusilier himself. He was looking at some slides on some of the animals to make sure that they were, those blood tests that they run, to make sure they don't have the heartworms or, you know, all those different tests. They got the big scales for the big animals if you got a big dog. He's got the high tech on the left. That's old Dr. Smith's centrifuge on the right, where he would do blood tests. That silver thing always
Probably in the 40s or 50s.
That's right. But he kept that. He says, you know, Dr. Smith, who helped him get here to this location.
And
So-
it handles a larger amount. I
Exactly.
understood that also.
Exactly. But you can see all high tech. He's got the surgery facility as well. Oxygen. He does x-rays on site. Ultrasound. I mean, that's fancy, the ultrasounds they did on my babies. And he can do all that for your animals. And they got all the different coops and places, kitty condos and everything to take care of your animals if they need to be taken care of. They'll wash in the water bowls and wipe your paws as well. They had at the front door. But Dr. Fusilier, you can go by there and you can get your animals well taken care of. And my family, they all bring their animals there, from dogs to cats, small animal type care at Bellevue Animal Clinic. And we're going to go to a commercial break for TV and radio. Folks, we're going to see you on the other side of 3.